Welcome back to Fade to Chat, the golden age of cinema. I'm with Cindy Rotz here, and we are going to do one of our favorite films, I think. All of our films have been favorite films, but this one is a little bit more of Billy Wilder, who we did with Some Like It Hot, and then there's just a string of great movies by Billy Wilder. We'll return to him, I'm certain. But it is about corporations in Manhattan in the 1960s. It is Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, and Fred MacMurray in The Apartment. It's labeled as a romantic comedy and often labeled as one of the first romantic comedies. It kind of set the style for romantic comedies. But it has so much more in terms of depth elements in it. It's funny, it's sharp, it's uncomfortable at times, and it's really a workplace satire. It's sort of Mad Men, but it was shot when Mad Men was really happening. So it kind of brings in, Mad Men is kind of a review of that genre or a review of that time, and this is much more that time and meant to be a satire. That evolves into a human story of Jack Lemmon's character and also Shirley MacLaine's character. So, Cindy, what'd you think?
You're absolutely right, Marty. It's one of our favorite movies. I'm so glad you suggested it. I don't really think of it as a comedy.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't. It's not a laugh out loud comedy. It's maybe a tragic comedy in some parts. I love Shirley MacLaine in this movie. I think she's outstanding in this role. Um, I'm sure we're going to talk about Fred MacMurray and his role in this, and
Yeah.
some of the pushback that he got. And Jack Lemmon, I have quite a few notes about Jack Lemmon in this movie and how it relates to some of his other movies that we've talked about, like Some Like It Hot. And, just I have quite a few notes on this movie, and it didn't take me uh, long to remember. I've only watched it twice, but it didn't take me long to remember why I love this movie so much. So I'm glad you suggested it, and I'm glad we watched it again.
Yeah, well, it's another collaboration with Billy Wilder and Jack Lemmon. Um,
Hmm.
the movie it was written with Billy Wilder and I.A.L. Diamond.
Hmm.
And I looked a little bit into I.A.L. Diamond's background. I think they penned 12 movies together.
Oh, wow.
He was really a co-writer, and he was an immigrant, came to America, I think, with his family or shortly thereafter, and chose the letters I.A.L. Diamond. Some people suggested it should just be Ian or some sort of side name for him that would work, but he went with I.A.L. Diamond. And I thought when I first started researching him, he might have been on the blacklist that from the McCarthy era, but he wasn't.
Mm.
There's some good, good movies about. Trumbo is a great movie about the blacklist experience and the people. And you'll see some classic writers who were part of this period of writing and earlier in the 50s that got blacklisted and had to go and put in pseudonyms for the work that they did. Trumbull was one of those. But he was not. I kind of thought he was because he came out of that era, but apparently he was not. And it might have been the type of material that he was doing and having no political affiliations, but a long-standing collaborator with Billy Wilder in terms of the movies that they wrote together. Wilder also trusted him very much in the dialogue and insisted that actors not, and we mentioned this, I think, during Some Like It Hot,
Mhm.
that actors do not necessarily improvise in the process. Directed by Billy Wilder, screenplay by Billy Wilder and I.A.L. Diamond, and produced by Billy Wilder. So he had managed to, of course, develop enough power to manage his own productions in Hollywood. Some great music by Adolf Deutsch,
Mm.
and 125 minutes, so a good length for a film coming out in that time. And I could not figure out why it was shot in black and white. You know, we had some uh, times where Wilder would argue for black and white, like in Some Like It Hot,
Hmm.
for the aesthetics of it. But by the 60s, and this is 1960, it is surprising to see films that are in black and white and haven't kind of converted to color. So, yeah.
Perhaps it helped with the overall tone of the movie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like his apartment was kind of, it was surprisingly large for a New York apartment, but
Yeah.
it's kind of depressing too, because it was around the time of the holidays and Christmas, but you didn't get the feel of that like we did in Miracle on 34th Street.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you this, and I know this was planned, but were you much of a New Year's Eve party person?
Hate New Year's Eve. Nope. And no, it's my least favorite. I don't look forward to it, even when I was younger, like in college, and
Yeah.
everybody was going out and partying. Unless there was a band that I liked playing somewhere, um, I'd just as soon stay home. I'm not a big drinker. I don't care for the whole. I hate the song "Old Lang Syne." It makes me sad. I don't know. I hate that song. I don't like New Year's Eve. It's never been a big thing for me. It's like, ah, I've never understood it. I have no desire to go to New York City and watch the ball drop. Um, yeah, I just don't care.
Yeah, I chose this movie because it was the main end of the movie centers around
Mhm.
New Year's Eve, and I was
Right.
looking for a good New Year's Eve movie that fit
Yeah.
within our genre that we talk about. And this is a great movie. I myself, again, never a big New Year's Eve guy.
Mhm.
Would not, really wasn't interested in parties.
Mm.
Sometimes I remember when I was in college, I carried a beeper for some of the work that I did, and I would be asked to go to someone's party, and then I would call into the emergency line, the back line, and say, "Please beep me at like 8:30."
Uh-huh.
And they would beep me at like 8:30. I'd been at the party an hour. That was about all I could take.
Yeah.
And they would beat me around 8:30, and I would say I've got to, then I'd use their phone because we didn't have cell phones back then,
Mm.
and I would call in to the number, and they go, well, we beeped you like we asked. And I said, yeah, okay, thank you, I'll get right on it,
Mhm.
and had an
Mhm.
excuse to leave the party. um,
Yeah.
so I was never big on it. My kids seemed to be more interested in it when they were coming of age and older, and old enough to drink, definitely.
Mhm.
They themselves are not big drinkers, and very rarely. But I always made a promise to them. I said, "You can call me at 1:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in
Mm.
the morning. It's New
Mhm.
Year's Eve. I know you're going to do what you're going to do. Let
Right.
me give you a ride home." And so I was on call for New Year's Eve, New Year's
That's
Day,
good.
to pick up kids, and we had that kind of trusting relationship. So
Mhm.
that worked out well. Anyway, this is a New Year's Eve. It culminates in a New Year's Eve party, and I think meaning there in terms of old acquaintances be forgot.
Right.
In
Yeah.
this case, Shirley MacLaine and her relationship with Fred MacMurray.
Hmm.
And do you want to speak a little to Shirley MacLaine's performance in this?
Yes, I thought it was interesting. She was having an affair with the boss, Mr. Sheldrake, who was Fred MacMurray. But she was not portrayed in the same way as those other women. The other
Yeah,
women that were fooling around in Jack Lemmon's apartment, they were kind of, hmm, what's the word? What's a polite way of saying like a floozy? They were,
yeah, ditzy,
they were,
floozy.
yeah. I mean, she seemed more, hmm, it was a more grown up, even though she was involved with a married man. She realized it was wrong. She was trying to get out of it. Um, she kept it very private. It wasn't like a salacious kind of thing where it was all about um, their relationship. I thought she handled it well.
Yeah,
They didn't show anything inappropriate. They really never even showed them together. I mean, you wouldn't have even known they were in a relationship except, they met at the bar the one time. He was very cold toward her, too.
yeah,
Um, I did not like him in this film at all because I was so used to seeing him in My Three Sons. And I read, that's how I remember him. Fred MacMurray, he is the dad in My Three Sons, Mr. All American. And he received a lot of hate mail for this role and said he would never, play a character like this again because women would see him on the street and, just berate him for his role in this movie. But
yeah,
I thought she was wonderful and
yeah.
very
There is just an incredible amount of pathos in her, and the
mhm,
one shot that I put up that I captured, I think captures the emotionality of her
all
role
her
and
expressions,
how
her
she
eyes.
managed. Yeah, how she managed to do that. And I don't know if she was like an actress until she started to get involved with particularly this film. I think was important. She received an Academy Award nominee for that. Nomination for it, didn't win, as Fred MacMurray didn't win, as Jack Lemmon didn't win. Those were
Mhm,
three Academy Awards, but her presentation in this film, I think, is at a completely different level.
mhm.
They reunited, Jack Lemmon and her reunited, I think, in 1963 for Irma la Douce,
Yep, I saw
another
that too.
Billy Wilder. It's a great film, fun film.
That's
It's much
yeah, that's
more
a fun one. Yes.
slapsticky
Yeah.
with this. But yeah, I think, Billy Wilder saw something in her that maybe hadn't been seen or brought out before in terms of the emotionality that she could convey on the screen. So,
Yeah. Yeah, you felt sorry for her. I think that's why I don't think of this as a comedy because it was so, I mean, it had a happy ending, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but it was kind of just tragic that she was in that situation and yet she knew she was there. And the scene with the mirror where the mirror was cracked, she opened up her compact and looked in the mirror and Jack Lemmon, or was it Jack
yeah,
that said the mirror's cracked? Yeah, he said the mirror is cracked. She said, yeah, or it's broken. And she said, that's how I feel.
yeah,
I like it that way. That's how I feel. So she was struggling. She was struggling with that relationship the whole time in the movie. And she was sad that she couldn't find someone nice to love. She said, why can't I fall in love with someone nice like you?
yeah.
So there was a sadness to it.
We can talk a little bit about Fred MacMurray. Let's do just a couple of things to notice. For people who haven't seen this film, essentially Jack Lemmon has an apartment, and he is a single male, unattached, and he winds up loaning his apartment out for a friend to change or something like that. And then it gets extended to him loaning out the apartment for trysts that some of the people at the office, his superiors, asked for with people at the office. And so he finds himself either staying late at work or staying out while a fellow coworker, someone a superior, is using his apartment for these trysts. And one of them is Ray Walston, who plays kind of a different energy with that, and put up a still of Ray Walston with his Marilyn Monroe like date that he's trying to accompany it to get to the apartment. And Ray Walston, from My Favorite Martian. My favorite Ray Walston role is in Fast Times at Ridgemont High when he plays Mr. Hand. And I have a meme that I use quite often, that's Ray Walston grading, and underneath it says, "Are all these people on dope?" And if you saw Fast Times, you'd get that. But I find him kind of an interesting character actor. We think of him as My Favorite Martian, probably more so, but he's done some really remarkable character actor pieces with his work.
Was he in Star Trek?
He was in a Star Trek episode, yeah.
Okay.
Because I went back and looked at some of his IMDb parts that he's played, and he really had quite an extensive piece of work with that. So, anyways, he's loaning his apartment out, and he is unaware of the woman that he really is interested in is Shirley MacLaine's character, and winds up inadvertently finding out. You mentioned the mirror scene, where he finds a mirror left in his apartment, and he brings it back, I think, to Sheldrake, and he passes it on to his paramour. And then later in the movie, Shirley MacLaine opens up that same makeup piece, and he realizes, wait a minute, this is the woman that Sheldrake's been taking to my apartment.
Yeah, he's trying on his new hat.
Yeah.
Remember, he got that bowler hat, and she opened her mirror for him so he could see himself. And when he opened it, you could just see it on his face. He's like, oh my gosh, this is the same mirror that was in my apartment. Of course, she doesn't know. He knows that.
Yeah, Jack Lemmon has like Shirley MacLaine in this film, more so than Fred MacMurray, has such subtle kinds of facial stuff that Billy Wilder when I was watching, it's like he's deliberately staying on the solo face shot because these actors are really using their emotion as the other actor is talking about something. You can see their reactions on their face. It's not a two shot, it's a single shot of the actor just reacting to it, and that's pretty remarkable.
Oh, this is your mirror that I found in my apartment. It's just, you knew that from his expression. And then he realized, that she was the one that was involved with the boss, and on and on.
So that's kind of sets off a dynamic where Jack Lemmon is a bit shaken by the fact that Shirley MacLaine is having a tryst with basically the head of the company. Well, the head of personnel. And I put up a still shot of them at the Chinese restaurant. And I went a little nuts because, I do that. One of the gifts that he gives Sheldrake, she gives Sheldrake is a album of the pianist who
Mm-hmm.
plays at the restaurant,
Yeah.
and it was Rickshaw. I can't remember the last name, but it was such egregiously culturally insensitive. And
Yes.
the artist was Jimmy Wang, Wang, Wang. And
Okay.
I, of course, went on a search to find out if there was really a Jimmy Wang, if there was a Rickshaw, Rickshaw Boy or something that was the name of the album. Couldn't find anything, but it was fun going down that end. In fact, the pianist who has a couple of scenes in the movie is not
Mm-hmm.
credited, and so I was really trying to find out who was the actor or character or musician that played that role. The only one that I could find associated with the Chinese restaurant was the waiter
Huh.
who had chosen a actor's name, Fortune Cookie.
No. That's a good
Yeah,
movie, too, by the way.
but he appeared in nothing else. There's nothing else on his IMDb page. So it might have been this was a bit part, and he's like, okay, for SAG or whatever, I've got to have an acting card. My name
Yeah.
is Fortune Cookie, and then just that was kind of the, from what we can tell from IMDb, the end of Fortune Cookie's career in terms of
Was
that.
that a Jack Lemmon movie, too?
So Fortune Cookie, yes, it was 1966 and was Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, and it was written by I.A.L. Diamond and Billy Wilder. It was another Billy Wilder production, and kind of a fun movie in and of itself. So, yeah, Fortune Cookie did become a movie. Unfortunately, it didn't include this character actor that worked in the bar that Fred MacMurray and Shirley MacLaine would frequent. And I think you see three times in the movie this setting. You see the initial tryst, you see when they come in and another party comes in, and it includes one of the actresses in the that's in the pool. Miss, what was it? Miss Fields was his
Miss Olsen,
secretary.
I think. Miss Olsen?
Miss Olsen.
Yeah,
And you know,
his current.
Miss Olsen had a career in and of herself, in that she was played by Edie Adams. Do you remember Edie Adams?
I do, but you're going to have to refresh my memory because I looked at
Yeah.
her and those glasses. I thought,
Yeah, it's difficult to see Edie Adams in those glasses. She's kind of a sex pot character
okay,
in other things. I believe she was. These are all these threads that I said, yeah, I'll go down.
I know.
She was married to Ernie Kovacs
Oh,
and
that's
was kind
interesting.
of first introduced in through Ernie Kovacs in a lot of ways. She did
Hmm.
the I think it was Muriel cigar ads. Why don't you
Oh,
come up and
yeah.
smoke me sometime or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, she had her own kind of side gig going on. To me, completely unrecognizable from what I remember when I saw her as a kid in the cigar ads or any of the
Yeah.
other stuff that she did, because of the glasses and because of the hair
Hmm.
color.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Yes.
she changed her hair color to blonde, and that's why it
That's what
shows
I
up that
thought.
way
She
in the movie.
was not a blonde.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, just on a
So
little side note, did you notice, after he fired her for going to Fran or, you know, going and talking about her little tryst with him previously and all the ones that came after her before Shirley MacLaine, he fired her. Did you notice the secretary that replaced her?
No.
I don't know who she was, but she was old, like really old. You'll have to go back and look. I thought that was kind of a pointed, uh, yeah.
And
There's no more young ones. There's a very old lady. I'm gonna look it
another
up now.
character actor that you might recognize, not from this role, but from future roles he did, was Hal Smith. He played the Santa in the bar scene.
Yep,
Did
that's what I
you
was going to ask you. The drunk Santa again.
the drunk Santa? And you might know Hal Smith from Otis.
Otis.
Otis
Otis. Yeah.
Campbell from Andy and Mayberry or
Yeah.
whatever version of it. The drunk that constantly showed up in
Yes,
jail
I
and would
love.
lock himself in. So it's a little
Hmm.
bit ironic that in this film he shows up as a Santa that winds up closing the bar.
That's what I
Uh,
thought too.
yeah.
Did you happen to notice what song they were playing when Jack Lemmon was dancing with that other woman, the married woman? I love that her husband was a jockey and he was in jail and she was lonely. And she said he was 5'2" and weighed 99 pounds and he was so cute, but he was in jail in some foreign country. And so they were dancing together and closing up the bar. And do you remember the scene where they were showing
I yeah, I don't
what
where they're
Jack
kind of
was
dancing cheek to
drinking?
cheek and walking around. Yeah. What tell me about it? What was the
Well,
song?
first of all, it was "Oh Come All Ye Faithful." I thought, how ironic is that? "Oh Come All Ye Faithful" was
And
playing
there's a little double entendre in that, just
just
in
a
that
little
title.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was drinking, I guess, martinis. He at first he was arranging them on the bar with the toothpick.
Right.
He had 7 of
Yeah.
them when he first started, but by the time he was done, he had 13 of them.
Yeah. Well, really? Where did you see
13.
the 13? Oh, wow. Okay.
I tried to count them, but I thought there were only 12 because it looked just like a clock. He had them
Yeah.
all arranged in a circle like a clock, but then I read it was 13.
Oh,
And I thought it was interesting too. They went back to his apartment, and that's when he found Shirley MacLaine, that she had taken the sleeping pills. I thought, my God, he had 13 martinis, but he sobered up pretty quickly.
yeah. And I guess that would also do it, finding somebody
I guess so.
in your house. The actress was Hope Holiday,
Okay.
who in herself had quite a set of credits. She was an actress for 30 films or television experiences, worked as a producer on some of them later on in her career, and also as a casting director. She, for me, is best known in the role of she appears again in Irma la Douce, and
Okay.
she is, if you remember that movie, there's that one
Mhm.
prostitute who has the opaque heart-shaped glasses on and the blonde hair, and you really never see her eyes because she's always wearing these dark glasses. At one point, Shirley MacLaine, I think, gets into a fight with her in Irma la Douce. Her name
Haven't
was
seen in a
Lolita.
while. Okay.
So casting her as a prostitute named Lolita in Irma la Douce and putting those heart-shaped opaque glasses on her face, making her blonde, kind of, I think, a jab at the other movie Lolita that had come out around that time too. So
Oh, okay. And Mr. Eichelberger, he was one of the men that in the office. He had a very, very small part where there's just the 4 of the guys talking to Jack Lemmon about their wanting the key and all that. He was Larry Tate on Bewitched.
right,
I recognized him
Darren's
instantly.
Darren's boss. Yeah,
Darren's boss. Yeah.
Yeah, some good character actors within the film at
Hmm.
various levels of parts. So Jack Lemmon finds out about Shirley MacLaine, and Fred MacMurray winds up using the apartment. They for an evening. They break up. Jack and Fred MacMurray really treats her very badly,
He does.
and she winds up taking an overdose of pills that is in his cabinet. Now, what Jack Lemmon's doing with Seconal at that day, half bottle of Seconal. He said it was for sleeping, that he needed it to sleep. I guess that was common back at that time, but it was really dangerous potential for overdose with that drug.
Did you see
She
that on
winds
the
up
bottle?
staying. What?
How did you see that? How did you know that? It was on the
It was
bottle?
on he zoomed in on the bottle. There's a scene
Oh,
where he kind of zooms in on the bottle
oh,
when
okay. I didn't.
she's considering it. And I
Mm,
used to work in drug crisis and drug overdose, so I pay
okay.
attention to prescriptions like crazy
Okay.
whenever I see them. I have a friend who used to identify every camera that people used in movies. So he'd go to a movie and somebody would hold up a camera and he'd be able to. For me, it's like
It's
drugs.
drugs.
It's drugs.
Ah,
and and so yeah, there he discovers her, sends home Hope Holiday after attempting a tryst with her in the room,
hmm.
and she gets abruptly sent home, and he knocks on the doctor's door next door and realizes that she'll be okay, but she has to stay there for a couple of days.
Hmm.
And that sets up the rest of the movie, which includes Miss Olsen calling Mr. Sheldrake's
Wife.
wife and informing him of all the stuff that he's been up to, which leads to him finally being able forced into getting a divorce, which feeds into the plans of Shirley MacLaine's character, Fran's character, and they seem to reunite. Prior to that, there is a scene with Jack Lemmon and Fred MacMurray where they have a confrontation in the office about how if he wants to use that key for whatever purpose, he can't take uh, Fran Kubelik, Shirley MacLaine's character, to the apartment, and he couldn't quite figure it out. And finally, he quits his job, which sets up the conclusion of the film. I would like to just comment on Fred MacMurray. We haven't spoken
Mm.
much about him, but there's some history with him in this movie in terms of his desire to do this movie. And this bothered me a little bit because I've read conflicting stories about it. One story says he was doing too much Disney-esque kind of things. And he wanted something that would challenge his acting chops. And so he deliberately chose this role because he wanted to prove that he had some acting besides being the congenial, nice kind of person that he
Mhm.
plays in most of the movies. But then I remembered, and this is a movie I think we should watch sometime. Double Indemnity. Double
Yeah.
Indemnity. He plays a really scheming, nasty, lecherous kind of insurance salesman, and that is, I think, and that came out in 44, 46, long before this movie came out.
Before
So,
this, yeah.
and he knew. I mean, he got challenged, but he also got good reviews for his style. It's really a film noir, so he kind of talks very plain and monotone through the whole thing. Yeah,
Mm.
baby, through that movie. but his style is, I mean, he already established that he could play a creep. And so the idea that the news is like, well, he wanted to take this role on so he could play deeper roles of depth, of great depth. At the same time, I think in '59, the other conflicting report was he signed a big Disney contract. And he was afraid that this was going to hurt his reputation.
Mhm.
And as some of the things that you've already said, people approaching him on the street, and I find that absolutely crazy, that people can't separate characters
Separate, yeah.
from actors. Either it's really good acting, and it probably is, but the idea that people see the character as the actor, and
Yeah.
and he got a lot of publicity, or a lot of his public favor dropped when he played a mean character. They wanted to see him as that nice. I don't know what you think about that, or what
I
your
read the
thoughts are.
same thing. I read the same thing and I was confused. I am not familiar with Double Indemnity. I need to watch that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. That was before this movie. And yeah, I understand too. You may not care for him as this actor in the movie, but he is playing a part. That's not who he is. And that's the whole essence of it. Yeah, I read that a woman hit him with her purse because she thought she was taking her son to see a Disney movie. I'm thinking, now that's silly. Yeah. But
Yeah. Double Indemnity,
haven't seen it.
1944. Billy Wilder.
Billy Wilder again. Okay.
Billy Wilder with Raymond Chandler writing on this one, and James N. Kane. Fred MacMurray, Barbara Stanwyck, and Edwin G. Robinson. And probably, I think, one of the better roles for Edward G. Robinson
Okay.
with that. Nominated for 7 Oscars and won none of them, which is a surprise. But did win awards in other places and other times.
Hmm.
Wow. So yeah, that is a film that you should see. It is a kind of dark
Okay.
film noir, and we'll do that sometime. We maybe
Okay.
won't do it
Add
next
that
time,
to
but
the
we
list.
I might claim that we have to watch that one after our next movie that we cover.
Okay.
All right, let's see. So the story goes on. They meet for New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, and Shirley MacLaine is kind of all aglow with the possibility of this relationship with Fred MacMurray continuing.
Hmm.
So Shirley MacLaine finds out from Sheldrake, Fred MacMurray's character, that Baxter, C.C. Baxter, Jack Lemmon's character, was just really upset with the thought of him using the apartment. They went to Atlantic City. They're going to go to Atlantic City for the evening. And she discovers that Jack Lemmon was, I think, identifies that Jack Lemmon really had feelings for her and did not
Mhm.
want to see that happen. And she realizes there's an opportunity for her to be with a man of better character. And you can see
Agreed.
that sort of, just the whole scene is shot again
Mhm.
in the Chinese restaurant where everybody's singing, everybody's having a good time, and she's taking and absorbing this whole story about C.C. Baxter and how he refused to let them use the apartment based
Mhm.
on his feelings or affections for her. Do you want to pick up the rest? What else happens?
Well, I think that was an interesting scene because, again, we talked about her facial expressions. It's almost like something clicked, something
Hmm.
registered in her mind where she realized Fred MacMurray, you know, Mr. Sheldrake, Drake, he's never going to leave his wife. It's never going to be the right time, no matter what he says. And so she realizes, yes, that she has a better opportunity. And Jack Lemmon had been pursuing her. He asked her out to go to that see the Music Man, and she probably realizes she made a mistake that night that she went back with Fred
You
MacMurray.
know,
Should
and
have.
I'm
That
not a
changed
big,
the course of the movie.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of The Music Man, but
Hmm.
the outside shot describes it as the best comedy musical of the year. And I didn't necessarily see The Music Man as a comedy,
Yeah.
but that's how they were apparently promoting it at that theater at the time.
Yeah. I think she realizes she made a mistake that night.
Yeah,
And, time passed and he forgave her for it. And she, they sang the song Old Lang Syne, and um, Fred MacMurray leaned over. I think he kissed her on the forehead or something.
yeah,
And then he turned his back toward her as they were singing and everybody's partying in the bar. And during the time that he turned his back, she left the table. And
yeah,
they show her running, and her hair's blowing back. And you can tell she's so excited. She's running toward Jack Lemmon's apartment. And he lives on the second floor. And did she knock on the door? No, she opens the front door, and she is that then when she hears the
she
shot,
hears,
or what she thinks is a shot, and she panics and she runs up the stairs and she bang 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 on his door. And it's funny, she always called him Mr. Baxter,
yeah,
and he called her Miss Kubelik the whole time. They never called each other by their first names. And she's banging on the door, banging on the door, banging on the door because she's so afraid that he has shot himself. Because in the previous scene, after she took the sleeping pills, he told her of a story where there's a time in his life where he tried to kill himself, but he couldn't figure out where to shoot himself, and he ended up shooting himself in the knee. He said, "But I got over the girl in 3 weeks." So anyway, she
yeah,
hears this loud noise, thinks it's a gun going off. He opens the door. He has a big bottle of champagne in his hands, and it's overflowing and overflowing. And she says, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" He says, "Yeah, I'm fine." "How's your knee?" He said, "My knee's fine." He said, "I'm fine all over." And and she goes into the apartment with him and sees that he's been packing all these boxes and his whole apartment is packed up. And she says, what are you doing? Where are you going?" And he says, "Well, I'm leaving. I got to get out of here. I need a new beginning." And he has everything packed, and he asks her if she wants a drink. That's another reason why I don't like New Year's Eve. I don't like champagne. Give
yeah,
me something else to drink. But he finds two glasses, gets them out of unwraps them. They were in newspaper, and pours the champagne. And they sit down on the couch, and the champagne glasses in front of them. And I thought too, she goes over to one of the boxes, I think,
she
and
asked him,
right,
"Where's the cards?"
yeah, that's right. Where are the cards? She gets the cards out, deal, and sorry, he starts to deal the cards, and she said something about, we never finished. We never finished. What were they playing?
They were playing gin rummy.
Was it gin? That's right, because he got gin. Yeah, and he looks at her and he said, he said, "I think." Did he say, "I think I love you, Miss Kubelik"?
Yeah,
"I adore
I
you."
think
First, he
he
said, "I absolutely adore you.
adore you. Yeah,
I adore you." And She just looks at him, and do you want me to say the final line?
Yeah, say the final line.
Shut up and deal.
Yeah. And then if you watch that scene, there are a couple of things I noticed about that scene. First of all, the gunshot. That was a gaffer
Yeah.
using an actual gunshot. That
Yeah, that
sounds
was not a
nothing like
campaign. Mm-mm.
nothing like opening champagne. That was quite a
Great.
stretch.
I agree.
Eh, you know, he had to make it sound like a gunshot so people would think it's a
Mhm.
gunshot, but never have
Right.
I opened a bottle of champagne, and I haven't
No.
opened a lot of them that sound like a gunshot.
Agree that.
So that's the first thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed was in this scene, when they're on the couch, they never stop looking at each other.
Mm.
It's like all of her, she's doing all of the shuffling of the cards, and she's looking directly at him. For the few moments, yes, she has to look down to gather the cards, but the whole
Mm-hmm.
time they're both looking directly at each other, which raises kind of the intensity of the feelings that they have for each other. You can tell from that. And as she gives him the cards to deal. He's not looking down at the table. He's just dealing out, and just they're both making constant eye contact, which I
True.
think was a strong directorial influence in terms of how people feel about this movie when the movie ends.
Yeah, because I was trying to count the cards. Like, how many did he deal? I think it was 10. But no, you're right. They were so intent on one another. And she never proclaimed her actual love for him, but that's the whole reason she ran back to his apartment.
Well, as I do, trying to find out where the apartment was.
I did too. Hmm.
Uh, okay,
You go ahead.
so
I didn't
why
write
don't
it
you
down.
tell? No, go ahead. No, I've got you. I've got you on this kick now, so I want to hear how
Oh my
your
gosh.
your journey went with that.
Well, it was an actual, the address was real in New York City. I've forgotten the address. I apologize. I didn't write it
50,
down.
I think it's 57 West 67th
7th
Street.
Street. Okay. Yeah. But they didn't actually film it there. They filmed it in the studio on a sound stage. But I read that because it was very narrow, that hallway and everything, and leading up to there, that they used a collapsible set that they could
Oh,
raise the level so that they could get the cameras in and get them at all those different angles because it was a very tight space.
hmm.
And did you notice when he went to the neighbor's house to the doctor to get him, to help with her when she overdosed? And then he was talking to the doctor's wife about, oh, he wanted to borrow some eggs. He said, "Can I have some eggs? Can I have some orange juice?"
Right.
And she's like, "No, not for you, but I'll help the young girl." When she opened that door, there were windows, clearly big windows in that scene that wouldn't have made any sense in relation because his apartment was directly next to the doctor and his wife. They couldn't have had any windows there because it would have been right next to a solid wall of his apartment.
Yeah, I'm thinking the bedroom faced an exterior street because that's where they were walking
His
her to
bedroom
sober
did.
her up.
His bedroom did, yes.
Yeah, his bedroom did.
But I don't know how the apartment
The
next to him
doctor's.
had
Yeah.
windows where they were. I want to
Yeah,
talk
that's
about
right.
the artwork too. There's quite a bit of interesting artwork in this movie.
Yeah. Go ahead. You're the artist or the
Okay.
art teacher.
um, well, there was the sleeping gypsy that was right above the bed, and they said that's why they had her um, laying in the bed in that position that she was. Are you familiar
Hmm.
with that painting?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, it's a lion. It's a lion looking over the body. And it was almost like the same thing with Jack Lemmon watching over her as she's sleeping in the bed. And that was
Oh,
the painting right above his bed.
yeah, I'm going to pull it in um,
Okay.
to show folks
Mm-hmm.
who are watching the video feed of this. Yep,
Same
that's the.
position. She was kind of turned, lying on her side. That same position. That was the inspiration for that. They had three musicians. That's a Picasso. That was in the bedroom. I think that was just right off to the side. It's a Cubist painting, and they used that supposedly to represent the love triangle between he and Shirley MacLaine and Mr. Sheldrake, three musicians. Are you looking for that?
Yes, I'm pulling that up.
Okay. And then there's I in the Village. That's Mark Chagall. That has a human figure and a cow. And that's supposedly representing his role in his village and all the other people that are taking advantage of his apartment. So that's three
Boy, you are
musicians.
sending me on a
Yeah.
treat
So that's
here
the I
looking
in the
at.
Village. And then there's a Mondrian, Trafalgar Square. That's, of course, is an abstract. I noticed that one right away. That is, that's in his living room. It's an abstract. If you're familiar with Mondrian, black,
Oh,
white,
yeah.
red, kind of represents New York City, you know, like the grid, that type of thing.
Yeah, last time I went to the Art Institute in Chicago, this was a couple of months ago. I have to go back to see certain paintings there that I saw when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, this is at the Museum of Modern Art, Mondrian. But I always like to go to find the Mondrians that they currently have at the Art Institute.
Yeah.
So,
I think I told you this before, but I always did a lesson, usually first grade, because we were always talking about primary colors. And I always talked about Mondrian with my students. I
oh,
love
yeah.
doing. And then there's one more,
Okay.
Around the Fish by Paul Klee, but it's spelled Klee, but it's pronounced Clay. And that one was supposedly to represent him as a fish on a platter for his colleagues seeking a promotion. Around the Fish. Oh no, there's one more. I'm sorry. There's
That's
one more.
okay. Let me get around the fish up
Around the Fish.
for folks to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And what else do you have?
The Studio by Pablo Picasso. That was near the door to his apartment near the entrance. It's an abstract piece, and it's supposedly representing their potential future. Just the two of them in their own space, like in a gin rummy scene, in the final scene. The Studio by Picasso.
Yeah, I'm. Oh, there we go. I guess this is it. No, this might not be it. I'm having a hard time finding.
Mm-mm. No, no, that is it. That is it.
Oh, okay.
No, 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 no. That's not. I'm sorry. Well, there's different versions.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
four
but
for
that's
five
close.
right now, so I'm doing pretty good.
You're good. Yeah,
Uh,
there's one that's at the Museum of Modern Art. I think it's the one he had.
yeah, this was Guggenheim.
That's Guggenheim, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's two
Yeah,
abstract figures representing the two of them at the final scene at the end of the movie.
and these are all artists I really like. The ones that you
Mm,
mentioned, they come from a time period where it would be recognized and influenced in the 60s. Some of the work that they did was, I think, very close to those dates or prior to those dates, where it would be recognized, and they were kind of considered. You can speak to this better than I can. Sort of a new wave of art at the time when they came out from moving from what would be realists into more
mhm.
surrealism with that part. So that's cool.
Yeah,
I've got to run down a bit of trivia
good.
that I found that bothered me because when he returns to the apartment to take care of Miss Kubelik, and he's wearing a shirt and he has a safety pin on one collar, and it's constant through every shot. And I'm like, why does he have a safety pin hanging off of one of his collar tabs? Was it a means to be able to put the two
Hmm.
to attach the two collars together and put the tie over it? It just did not make sense to me. So
Well, I didn't
um,
see that.
I did some searching, and I found in Billy Wilder's The Apartment, Jack Lemmon's character C.C. Baxter wears a safety pin on his collar as a subtle visual cue showing his lower class status and attempts at upward mobility. I had no idea that this was
Mm,
the meaning of it.
mm-mm.
Symbolizing his eagerness to pin himself to higher ups for promotion, though it's more about being a small guy trying to climb a ladder. And it's a symbol of ambition. It contrasts with class, and it also has these subtle character details that Billy Wilder was known for. Yeah, it's just weird for me to see that big, fairly big size
How did I
safety
miss
pin.
that? I'll have to go
Dang,
back now.
yeah, go back and look.
Miss.
But it's like, why is that part of his decor
Hmm.
with it? So yeah,
Oh, I
is
missed
there anything
that one.
else you want to talk about with the film?
Um, I had quite a few just things I noticed. I called it in my notes. Not actual scenes, but just things that I thought either were inconsistent or um, fun things that I noticed. Similarities between this movie and previous movies, like um, Some Like It Hot, and other movies that Jack Lemmon has done.
Yeah.
Jack Lemmon's always catching a cold.
Hmm.
Yeah. He's always spraying his sinuses. He's always complaining about catching a cold. He did that in Some Like It Hot. Because if you remember, that was in
Yeah.
dead of winter in Chicago. And he's like, we'll catch our death of cold because they had to sell their coats. It's all they had left, money wise. And he was always complaining about catching a cold, being sick. And he was in The Odd Couple. I mean, he was famous for the nasal spray in The Odd Couple and blowing his nose and trying to clear out his sinuses. And one of my favorite scenes was when he went up to Mr. Sheldrake's office, and he was so sick that day because he had spent the night out on the park bench till 4 a.m. because someone was in his apartment. And he took his little bottle of nasal spray with him. Do you know the trivia, the behind the
Yeah.
scenes with the, okay, that he was playing with it in his dressing room, the little prop, and he found out it could shoot, way across the room when he gave it a squeeze. And you wouldn't see nasal spray because it's clear, so he put milk in it. And so when uh, Fred MacMurray was talking to him about, giving him the key and all that, and I wrote this down. He said, oh, shoot, where was it? Oh, yeah, he finally went up to his office. He'd been trying to reach him for 20 minutes because he was on the phone trying to schedule everybody's night in his apartment. And it took him 20 minutes to do that, calling the other executives. And so Mr. Sheldrake's talking about wanting to get the key from him. And he said, do you realize if this ever leaked out? In other words, he wants Jack Lemmon to keep his secret for him. And he said, oh, don't worry, it won't. And right then he squeezes the bottle of nasal spray and it shoots out right past Fred MacMurray's face. I love that scene.
Yeah.
And he had that same nasal spray later. He's still sick with his cold. And Shirley MacLaine had given him the flower. She had his pretty flower on her lapel, and she gave it to him when he went up to see Mr. Sheldrake for good luck. And he later takes that same nasal spray and squirts her little flower on her lapel. I thought that was,
Yeah.
but he's always with nasal spray. He's always having a cold. He's always sick. And also the dancing scene, the dancing when he's cooking his spaghetti and he's singing, that reminded me of Some Like It Hot. Right after he got engaged to that wealthy guy and he's in bed with the Moroccos and he's singing. And, you know, it was that same kind of very similar. And he was dancing in the apartment, almost like a cha-cha. Again, it goes back to Some Like It Hot. I thought that was very, very similar.
Yeah, the
Whether he
brother-in-law.
implies that or not, I don't know.
Yeah, the brother-in-law who was playing the cab driver of and brother-in-law of Fran, Miss Kubelik, takes a swing at Jack Lemmon, and this is something I found out that he didn't pull his punch, and Jack Lemmon actually got pushed across the room into the Christmas tree,
Yeah.
and that was an actual punch. And Shirley MacLaine's expression of what is kind of a genuine expression. You just hit Jack Lemmon. And that was the take that Billy Wilder would use or used in the scene because it felt like it was very realistic in the sense. Wilder was also known for doing a lot of his. He would work with his cinematographer and with his assistant director, who would look at scenes and would talk about a scene before it got shot and work everything out before it actually they used film for it, because what it did was it reduced the amount of takes that he'd have to do or changes in setup, things like that. So he was known for kind of moving through movies, probably why he also had his own production rights on a lot of the films that he's done, because he was able to produce them knowing how to kind of shortcut the whole process of the stuff that's usually done where they do 40 or 50 takes and they pick one. He would have fewer takes because he had pre-worked all of that out with the cinematographer and the AD with it.
Apparently, though, there was one scene with Shirley MacLaine in the elevator where she couldn't get her line right. And of course, he was such a, stickler. It had to be exactly as it was written. And she was one word off. And they had to do it 5 or 6 times because she was just one word and it wasn't right.
Now you make me want to go back and watch the elevator scenes to figure out
which one.
The word.
And did you notice that little hand movement she always did? When it was their turn to get off the elevator, she did a little wrist thing like off.
Yeah, I noticed the clicker. Remember the lady that's running the elevators, and the clicker kind of, you can go now.
That one had a strange voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, go ahead. More? You've got more?
The first one, and I rewatched it 2 or 3 times. In the very beginning of the movie, he comes home. It's late at night. It's like 9 o'clock or something, and he decides to cook a TV dinner.
Mm-hmm.
That TV dinner cooked in about 2 minutes. He put the TV dinner in. Next thing you knew, he was taking it back out. In the meantime, he had gathered up all the liquor bottles from all the
Right.
previous night. Everybody was in there cleaning up his apartment, and he had this basket, and he piled them all in this basket and put them outside his apartment, right outside his door. Then he came back in. This TV dinner that he had just put in the oven is suddenly done. Like I said, in about 2 minutes, and he's starting to watch it. And I love the TV with the remote control, that great big remote control next to it. And he's starting to watch TV, and they kept going to commercials, so he gave up and went to bed. But those liquor bottles, they were not there in the very next scene
Yeah.
where they were not there. They had completely disappeared. It was still nighttime. But I think he took a sleeping pill did he take a sleeping pill that night? He was so tired or he couldn't sleep. But anyway, he was in bed, supposedly sleeping that night, and he opens his eyes and kind of looks around. Then the phone rings. The phone didn't ring first. He opened his eyes, he looks around, then the phone rang, and he got up to answer it, and the guy wanted to come over. And he said, "Well, I'm already in bed, and I took a sleeping pill." And he
Yeah.
said, "Well, I got to come over." So I thought that was a little bit of a goof, because that phone rang after he opened his eyes.
So some continuity issues
Yeah.
that, unless you're looking for them, you probably suspend. I was surprised the liquor bottles got cleared out, and the idea that you can just put those things out in the hall and then somebody
Oh,
takes care of them for you. I've never
yeah.
lived in an apartment like that before.
No. And then there was the thing with the fingers at the Christmas party.
Right.
Shirley MacLaine says, "How many drinks did you have?" He says,
He did four
3.
fingers. He says three, and he
But he holds
holds up
up
four
4.
fingers.
Yeah. And then when he were playing gin rummy, and he was asking her about her previous boyfriends. How many boyfriends did you have? And she went 3, but she held up 4 fingers also.
I'm gonna add one last piece in.
Sure.
I did go to Street View to look at what was
Hmm.
on
Oh yeah, we were talking about the house.
57 West 67th Street in Upper
Okay.
Manhattan. And if you go to Street View, there is no, as it is now, there is no address at 57. It's part of a large building. If you go around the corner and look at the building, that building would have been something like the Immigrants Cafe. It was at least what was titled on it on Street View the last time. But what's more interesting, if you turn around and look at the building across the street, across 67th,
Mm-hmm.
it is the ABC Studios for New York.
Hmm.
And I don't know if it existed there in 1960, but that's where, if you know, I guess it's KABC or WABC. It would be W, I think, on this part of on that side of the country. But yeah, you can, it's like join Kathy and Mark, and all their usual New York shows are plastered on the outside of it.
How about that?
So just strange little piece that where the address that they chose, whether it was deliberate or not.
Yeah.
They had to, when people do those kinds of things and they choose addresses or phone numbers, they're going to falsify some of that to a degree. If they
Mm-hmm.
don't, then there's probably a deliberate reason why they chose that address. And so you got to wonder. But yeah, that was my little search to try and figure out where Jack Lemmon lived and where the apartment was. And is it in any relationship to the building, the office building that they talked about, which is the other thing
Mm-hmm.
with it.
Mm-hmm. The other one little note I thought was interesting. They said that even years after this movie was over, people would remember Jack for this movie, and they come up to him and say, "Hey, Jack, can I have the key?"
The key. Yeah.
You're always asking him, "Can I have the key?" That was a little
Yeah.
hook.
And
They
he
never
looked at that kindly in a way that people recognized
Sure.
the meaning and the importance of that film, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see some
Yeah.
actors nowadays report how they're really tired when people come up and say their favorite line to them.
Hmm.
And it's like, I'm so tired of hearing that. That's not unique. Please leave me alone. But he seemed to think it was a bit endearing at the time.
And the other thing we really didn't talk about, but it was such a part of this movie, was their use of the word wise. Everything was laugh wise, love wise, otherwise, cookie wise. That's
Cookie
the way the
wise.
cookie crumbles. Yeah, everything had wise after it. They said that was their tagline.
Yeah. I wonder if that
Did
was
you?
just sort of, well, I think it's important. I mean, I think it's scripted that way, but I wonder if that was
Hmm.
also kind of the term that was popular or the grammatical twist
Mm,
that was popular at that time in the 60s.
maybe so.
So to just, if you did not have an adjective, you just put wise on the end of it and it became a descriptor for cookies or laughter or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's our next film?
Hmm. Well, thank you for letting me choose. I chose a Doris Day movie, and it's going to be Send Me No Flowers.
And I think it's 1966. No, yeah, it's 1966, something like that. We'll have fun with it. Rock Hudson, Doris Day,
Rock,
Tony Randall,
Rock Hudson, yeah. Oh,
and
Tony Randall's great in this movie.
yeah, and Rock Hudson plays a hypochondriac in this film and gets
Yes.
misinformed somehow that he is
Yeah.
dying, and so
Yes,
should be kind of a fun romp for us. I will get you to Double
it is.
Indemnity sometime, maybe the film after that, because
Okay.
intent, intense film. But next time, Doris Day, Rock Hudson, Tony Randall, Send Me No Flowers. And we want to thank, we've gotten some nice people are subscribing to this now. We've gotten some really nice comments from the shorts, and people are picking up on the
Good.
shorts and then coming to the channel. Thank you for joining us on Fade to Chat. Whether you join us live or whether you're joining us watching the video on YouTube or whether you're just listening to the podcast, we really appreciate it. So a subscription kind of keeps us going. No cost. It's absolutely free of charge. I'm not getting any money for this, and it's just done out of love of cinema. And Cindy is great to have a partner who also loves cinema. And we're going to have some off-show discussions about art because I know that's your background and that's sort of my love. And we'll
Yeah.
we'll talk about that, but off show. But thanks for joining us, and thanks for watching these films that we've suggested, or these are things that might have things that you've watched before and that you really want to go along with the conversation that we have. You can subscribe and or leave a review or email us at the podtalknetwork@gmail.com. And again, YouTube, you can find us at youtube.com/@fade to chat. So thanks for joining us, and thanks for being a part of Fade to Chat, classic Hollywood cinema.